Sold in gas stations and wellness shops, the creators of Feel Free promise a sense of calm, focus, and productivity. But instead, this drink is leaving people sick and fighting for their lives.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you see this blue bottle at your local store, stay the away from it.
People are literally going to rehab over this drink that is legal in most states in the US.
This video discusses sensitive topics including mental health struggles and addiction. Certain scenes will not be described due to their triggering nature. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. To comply with YouTube's terms, some words have been rephrased or censored. Thank you for your understanding. If you or someone you know is struggling, you are not alone. Visit findtreatment.gov for confidential addiction and mental health support in the US, or helpguide.org for global resources. People are now speaking out, claiming the drink can cause relentless reliance, reptilian-like peeling skin, and even extended stays in the ICU.
I was addicted to the little blue bottles called Feel Free by Botanic Tonics. They have these ingredients in them, and I was drinking upwards to 9, 10, 11, 12 bottles a day at the height of my addiction. Could not sleep, could not eat, had to have someone with me at all times making sure that I was eating and drinking, could barely even get up to go to the bathroom, honestly.
So 1 started to 2, 2 started to 3. Within a year span, I was so addicted that I was literally downing 10 to 12 a day.
And warning everyone how the contents of this little blue bottle should be avoided at all costs.
So shameful. Don't buy this product. Super addictive, super bad. Don't try it.
The drink recently went viral after TikToker Your Bestie Misha shared a startling encounter they had with a teen outside of a gas station.
Something truly disturbing just happened to me. I just stopped for gas on my way home, and while I was there, I wanted a beverage, so I went to go inside. So as I'm walking in, I am approached by a child. I mean, this kid, he was maybe 14 years old, and he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, can you buy me some Feel Free?"
Misha was startled and confused by this teen's random request.
I didn't understand what he was talking about, but I said, "Do you need food or something?" And he said, "No, I need Feel Free." And I was like, "I'm sorry, no." And this young kid lunged at me and tried to take my wallet out of my hand. I grabbed it really fast and I just went inside.
And it was inside the gas station that he was let in on what the boy was asking from him.
So I go inside, I grab my drink, I go up to the cashier and I was like, "Hey, just so you know, there's like some kid out there. He was asking me to buy something for him." And he like tried to grab my wallet and she was just like, "Oh my gosh, it's this." And she pointed to this little blue bottle on the counter that I've never seen before. Looks like that. And I was like, "Oh, what's that? Like a 5-hour energy?" And she was like, "No, this stuff is so sad. I have people coming in here 5, 6 times a day to get this. It's so addictive. And people lose their minds. People act like actual kids or like they have heroin addictions over this little drink." I mean, it's called Feel Free, but traps you in addiction. That feels very nefarious. But I don't think that we talk enough about things that are legal but sold next to gum and energy drinks. And yeah, this kid was so young, and like his face is like just burned into my memory about how lost he looked. So please be careful.
And then there is Jasmine Adeoye, who began sharing about her experience with Feel Freeze to her TikTok account in June of 2024.
So let's rewind to June of 2022. I had just quit drinking alcohol. I didn't like who I was when I was drinking. I was a big binge drinker. I did not make good decisions, so I just quit drinking completely.
So when she heard Feel Free being promoted on a wellness podcast as an alternative, she decided to give it a try. She had tested brands they had endorsed in the past and trusted their recommendations. Jasmine explained that the host had used it as an alcohol replacement, and it helped them feel more social when out with friends, giving them energy and a mood boost. Little did she know this decision would change her life, but not for the better. Jasmine went about getting her hands on a bottle.
I'm looking at where I can go buy this tonic because I'm really excited to do that.
When Jasmine bought one, she was warned about the bad taste, so she decided to mix the intended dose, which is half of the bottle, with some coconut water and drank it. But the reaction was not what she had hoped or had been led to believe would happen.
Immediately, pretty much immediately, I started feeling really dizzy, and nauseous at the same time. I remember trying to journal after that, and I almost couldn't really see straight because I was so dizzy.
She ended up discarding the rest of the bottle and chalked it up to the bottle being a part of a bad batch.
I just didn't think about buying another one until a few months after that. And I remember like seeing them in places like Sun Life Organics. And I'm like, this has to like work for people. Why didn't it work for me? I might as well just like try another one and see if anything changes.
So she got herself another bottle, and the effects of the tonic were nothing like her first experience.
When I drank a second one, I drank half, I'm pretty sure, and it did give me the feeling of heightened energy, euphoria. I loved the feeling, loved it a little too much, and the rest is history. The usage just ramped up from there.
And for the first little bit, she didn't seem to have a problem.
During the first 6 months, I really had zero issues with them. It made me feel more social, more energized, more productive.
She would only take them during social events and could go weeks at a time without touching them at all.
So 6 months to a year, my usage did progress. I would take them more frequently during social events. The time between me actually taking them got shorter and shorter. So instead of going, say, like 2 weeks without them, it would be maybe 5 days without them. But still, I felt like I had a pretty decent grip on the usage.
But Jasmine described a time when her addiction had started to ramp up, and she went on a trip to visit family in a state that didn't sell Feel-Frees. And though she thought she'd be able to get by with the supply she had brought along with her, taper off and quit while she was away, instead, she was left scrambling.
My plan was to basically just like quit drinking them there, and I thought I would be fine. I was like, maybe I'll just take a few with me and, I'll just, make them last and spread them out and have plenty to drink throughout the 2 weeks. But just like addict behavior, drank all the bottles that I brought in like 2 days. I probably brought maybe 10 bottles, like 8 to 10 bottles. So I was there for 2 days by the time I completely ran out of them, and I had like 12 more days to go.
And this experience really showed her how her body was going to do without the Feel-Frees.
So I did not have physical withdrawals at this point because I don't think I was drinking enough to have like severe physical withdrawals. But the mental withdrawals that came from quitting cold turkey back then were rough. But I will say that pretty much immediately after, I did get physically sick, which I thought was a cold, but thinking it through, I think that was physical withdrawals. Because it was kind of flu-like symptoms, but I was like, it's the holidays. I'm probably, getting little sniffles from just the cold weather.
And some in the comments were quick to point something out. Flu-like symptoms are withdrawals. Recovered addict here. The flu-like symptoms are absolutely the withdrawals. I was an opioid addict for 10 plus years, and detox was a living nightmare. I'm glad you were able to get free. #we do recover. Unfortunately, though she was able to spend the rest of her holiday without them, this experience only worked to drive Jasmine further into the habit.
As soon as I get back to Texas, the first place I went to? The gas station to go pick up at least 2 Feel-Frees.
And things continued to progress, and it wasn't until about a year and a half after trying that second bottle that Jasmine started to notice an alarming pattern in her Feel-Free consumption.
And I was taking 1 a day at least at that point, sometimes 2 or 3 a day. But I viewed it as like drinking a coffee every day. I'm like, never had an issue with drinking 1 to 2, sometimes 3 coffees a day. I know it's kind of a lot, but a lot of people do that. But when I would take one of these, I would, in like an hour, crave another one. And I never had that feeling with coffee. Like once I had one, I was good for a little while. And I remember just kind of thinking to myself, this feels a little suspicious, so let me just do some research.
Jasmine's research led her to discover something pretty startling.
I found a lot, and hundreds, if not thousands of people saying they had become addicted to these. And I'm gonna be honest, I just kind of ignored it and was like, I'm not gonna become one of those people. I have this under control. I'm just gonna keep it to my 3 a day max.
But what started as something Jasmine had a handle of snowballed into something much more out of control.
So 12 months to 15 months of usage. This is when the usage started to drastically increase, and I felt myself developing a pretty heavy dependency on them. At this point, I started taking at least 1 a day, sometimes like 3 to 5 a day. And this is when I started to feel physical withdrawals when I wouldn't take them. I would wake up feeling really irritated and feel like I needed to take one. So that is when the addiction started to kind of snowball a little bit more out of control.
She began needing them at more than every social gathering.
I was taking them as soon as I would wake up and then all throughout the day until I went to sleep. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and take them too. This is when it got to 9 to sometimes 12 bottles a day at the very, very height of the addiction. I was severely physically dependent at this point, and it's like there was a very quick just like decline in my health.
And when Jasmine decided she'd had enough and decided to quit cold turkey, this time the withdrawals really took their toll on her body.
The morning I woke up and decided not to take anymore, I immediately felt super dizzy, felt like I was going to pass out, got nauseous, could not stand up straight. And I also had really severe restless legs. I was sweating a ton. My sweat smelled like ammonia. It was really gross. I felt this sense of electricity just moving through my body constantly. That was really, really tough to deal with. Could not sleep, could not eat, had to have someone with me at all times making sure that I was eating and drinking. Could barely even get up to go to the bathroom, honestly.
She also explained the extent of the withdrawal on her mind.
So I was crying a lot because my dopamine was so unregulated and all over the place. I had no dopamine. It was completely depleted. So I was just really depressed and crying a lot. The physical withdrawals lasted for about 3 to 4 days, and then the mental withdrawals lasted for about 6 months.
But some commenters still needed some things cleared up in order to better understand. What did they even do for you? And Jasmine, along with a couple others, were able to shed some light. It says it's supposed to help with relaxation, productivity, and focus. They advertise this, but they have an opiate-like effect. And many were quick to thank her for speaking out about this and spreading awareness. I looked my 17-year-old brother directly in the eye the other day, telling him never to touch these and the dangers around them because of info from your videos. Thank you for sharing, especially when it's hard. I've never even heard of this drink. Thank you for raising awareness. But most were sympathetic and could even relate to what she went through. Withdrawal sadness is unexplainable. It's the deepest grief you could ever imagine. I was violently throwing up after I took one of these. This is my exact story. Thought it was a natural, safe alternative. It has wrecked my life in so many ways. Girl, this made me tear up. I became severely addicted to Feel Free a month after I got sober from alcohol. I even worked for the company and promoted it. I was so sick towards the end. I didn't want it, but I had to have it. I was so alone and no one knew, and it was the most miserable time of my life. Luckily, I got off it almost 2 years ago. It almost ruined my life. So glad the truth is out. It seems like just buying the first 2 is the gateway. Trying to figure out how to stop these damn things now for the 4th time. So embarrassing. I was in the ICU for 12 days because of them drinks. And that last comment on Jasmine's post was John, a TikToker known as Leb Goat, who had also gone through a feel-free addiction, leading to very intense physical withdrawals. He started posting about his struggles in February of this year, sharing very raw footage with his followers. We're not going to show you these videos, as they may be too graphic for some viewers, but this is what he had to say.
I wanted to share these clips of me going through what I went through, so hopefully someone will see it and just know that you can change. It might take time, but you can change. I've lost friends, jobs, everything because of these drinks. If you see them, turn the other way. It's not worth it.
But how did it come to this? John explained in a video that he had been working at a holistic store when a rep for the product came in and marketed it to him and the store's owner.
We tried it. We really liked it because when they first come out, it was a heck of a lot stronger than it is now. So instantly we were like, oh yeah, we like this, let's bring it on.
But John's boss quickly noticed a concerning trend.
It was in our store for about 2.5 months when the owner started realizing multiple customers, like the same customers just coming in multiple times. And she really cared about her customer base, so she took them off the shelves.
Unfortunately, the inventory change was already coming too late for John.
But by then, I was already hooked. I was depressed, going through a lot, that's not an excuse, but I got hooked. So even though she took them off her shelf, they started popping up everywhere around me. And when they first were released, a lot of the gas stations, they were buy one, get one free.
And this promotion only helped to bring John deeper into his newfound habit.
So 1 started to 2, 2 started to 3. Within a year span, by the end of the year, I was so addicted that I was literally downing 10 to 12 a day.
And he says the effects of the tonic hit him hard.
Like I would have to walk up my stairs with my head and my body pressed against the wall just to be able to walk, because it was just, I was messed up. I was so messed up.
John also shared to his followers that at the time, he had been 8 years clean from being hooked on 2 other hard substances, and this plant-based wellness tonic threw him right back into a life he had worked so hard to get clean from.
And I've been good for 8 years, okay? I changed my life 100%. And then instantly, within that time, within a year span, I was right back where I started, probably even a little worse.
He explained that he had tried to quit cold turkey a few times, and it wasn't until his family found him seizing in his home and brought him to the hospital where he proceeded to spend the next 12 days in the intensive care unit.
But I don't remember them 12 days that I was in the hospital, other than the last, I think 2 or 3 days when I woke up with a tube down my throat. It was bad. It was crazy.
Thankfully, John is now free of the substance and has been working to get his life back on track in the aftermath, and he wants others to be aware of the potential risks associated with Feel Free. And his vulnerable messages of caution and hope seem to be working, as his comments were filled with people thanking him. "I've never heard of Feel Free, but I'm warning everyone I know. Thank you so very much for being vulnerable enough to show yourself. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Now a mom can show her child what even accidental addiction can do. You were clean and a gas station perfectly legal drink caused this. But what exactly is inside a Feel Free anyway? The 2 main active ingredients are kratom and kava, both plants with long histories but very different traditional uses. Kratom, a tropical tree native to Southeast Asia, has leaves that were traditionally brewed into tea or chewed by laborers for mild stimulation and pain relief. Kava, a root from the South Pacific, was prepared as a ceremonial drink for social bonding, relaxation, and spiritual rituals. In their traditional settings, both were used in controlled, culturally guided ways. Today, that context has shifted. Kratom is concentrated into powders, capsules, and drinks for energy, mood enhancement, or pain relief, while kava is sold in extracts and shots. In Feel Free, the 2 are combined into a single dose, blending stimulation and sedation in a way that has become removed from their careful traditional use. But one person in particular believes the drink is not the problem. The consumer is. The founder of Botanic Tonics, J.W. Ross, got onto the Back to Your Story podcast in 2023 and had this to say when asked whether he thinks Feel Free is addictive.
One question that I get the most is it addictive? And my response is, and I've always thought this, is that anything that makes you feel good can be habit forming, whether that's sugar, sex, whatever. You can, and some people are going to overindulge. That's not really, I think, the question you should ask. The question you should ask is, if I consume this on a regular basis, is it going to hurt me? Because if you find something that makes you feel good, you're going to consume it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And, we've not seen any data that would say that, unless you're just go crazy on it, which, you can OD on water if you want to drink too much of it.
But when he shrugs it off by saying you'd have to go crazy on it, what does that even mean? The label itself warns not to exceed 1 bottle in 24 hours, with just 1 ounce, half a bottle, listed as the serving size. And yet, we've seen countless testimonies from people who said drinking even a single bottle a day was enough to hook them. In other words, you could be just 1 ounce away from developing a daily addiction, one that can quickly snowball into a severe dependency. And when he waves off the idea of addiction by comparing Feel Free to sugar, sex, or even drinking too much water, it downplays the reality of those who've been through weeks of brutal withdrawal. As outlined in the cases mentioned, unlike sugar cravings, kratom's alkaloids bind to the brain's opioid receptors, creating the same kind of dependence on withdrawal patterns doctors see in opioids like morphine, oxycodone, and heroin. And unlike water, Feel Free has landed people in detox centers, ERs, and ICUs. So his shrugging it off as just overindulgence isn't just misleading. It ignores the very real harm playing out in people's lives. And people in the comments of this clip were pretty astounded by his words. This is criminal, 100%. This is so messed up. Oh my God. How does that man sleep at night? Jesus. This country and its business are so unethical and selfish. And John had this to say about his own role to the situation he found himself in.
Do I take responsibility? Yes. Because if I wasn't being such a little about going through the hard which is called life, I would have never slipped the way that I did. But this product also, it says it's a natural plant, you know what I mean? I've been taking kratom before, so I was like, oh, okay. But it grabs so tightly around my throat that I was just stuck. I was stuck. Yes, I take responsibility. Yes, I understand that I had a choice in the matter.
And Jasmine shared a similar sentiment.
And you can sit here and say, well, you know, the serving size is 1 bottle and you were only supposed to drink 1 bottle, so why did you drink so many? Because the components of these tonics is highly addictive no matter who you are. Like, addiction does not discriminate. And this company is really deceptive in their marketing. Addiction doesn't adhere to serving sizes.
But dependency and severe withdrawals aren't the only issues here. Some say they nearly passed away as a result. This almost killed me. I'm 75 hours in detox right now, and it's been the worst pain of my life. Please don't drink this. These almost killed me. So glad you were sharing this. 9 days out, no turning back. I was up to 9 feel-free Botanic Blue bottles. I almost died last week. Almost flatlined. Let's get angry and get this band together. There are even claims of fatal reactions from taking the tonic as well. This drink killed my brother-in-law. He was buying about $6,000 a month and it ended up shutting his kidneys down. He went into a coma and then his heart stopped. This garbage is killing people. I don't understand why they are still allowing it to be sold. And in a class action case, customers claimed Botanic tonics did not comply with state and common laws when marketing Feel Free, accusing the company of hiding that it contained kratom and that it increased health risks of anyone who drank them. Botanic tonics denied the claims, and the court did not decide in favor of either side. Instead, both agreed to a settlement so those affected could be compensated without the cost of a trial. And when asked in a comment if Jasmine joined in on this lawsuit, she revealed that she had submitted the paperwork to be a part of it. But how does this happen in the first place when the ingredients are natural and plant-based? TikToker Mr. Impulsive, who shares information on addiction, recovery, and mental health awareness, had this to say.
Why it is so dangerous having these is, one, kava itself affects your GABA neurotransmitter. That's your anxiety. It is a very calming effect and suppresses it. Now, kratom itself bonds to opioid receptors, and it actually gives a state of euphoria depending on the strain. When you mix this both together, it can cause a lot of actually respiratory suppression. Now, when you mix these also, because of that GABA and what it's doing to your different opioid receptors, it can put you in a state of psychosis. It can put you in a state of dysmorphia. It can actually you up mentally really bad.
What Mr. Impulsive says is mostly true. Kava works on the GABA system. That's the brain's main calming pathway that helps regulate anxiety and relaxation, creating a sedative effect. Kratom's key alkaloids, metragonine and 7-hydroxymetragonine, or 7-OH, on the other hand, act on the brain's opioid receptors, producing euphoria but also carrying a risk of dependence. Taken together, they can heighten sedation and raise the risk of slowed breathing, especially with alcohol or other depressants. Kratom is the bigger driver of addiction and withdrawal. Symptoms can include sweating, nausea, muscle aches, insomnia, and strong cravings, while heavy kava use has been linked to liver damage and rebound anxiety, which can make quitting even harder. And there are a number of comments from healthcare providers who had first-hand experience working with people who had been affected by this. I was recently in a first responder CISD course. The director of a first responder rehab recovery center said kratom addiction was becoming a huge issue. They're getting an increasing number of patients because of it. Apparently, the withdrawals are worse than other substances. This week, 3 of our 6 patients came to be sedated through the withdrawals from Feel Free. The commenter added that, yes, doctor puts patients under sedation, and while they're sleeping, she uses medications that eliminates the opiates from their system, which speeds up the entire withdrawal process. All I'll say is I'm a nurse and we got detox patients. Kratom detox is one of the worst I've seen. We don't have an adequate treatment program because everything is unknown with it still. Stay away, please. Thankfully, over time, Feel Free's label has gone from vague to slightly more detailed, now listing kratom's active compounds like metragonine and 7-OH, and restricting sales to 21 plus as of 2024. But that's likely only due to the FDA's watchful eye. In May 2023, the FDA teamed up with the U.S. Marshals to seize over $3 million worth of kratom products, including Feel Free tonics, from a warehouse in Oklahoma. The agency labeled these items adulterated because companies hadn't provided sufficient safety data to lawfully market kratom as a dietary supplement. Fast forward to July 15, 2025. The FDA zeroed in on synthetic forms of the kratom compound 7-OH, recognized as significantly stronger than natural kratom extracts. They warned manufacturers and pushed for federal classification under Schedule I controlled substances. And with a founder who stands behind the idea that his product is not the problem, only the buyer's consumption of it, the company has actually chosen to applaud the FDA's crackdown on 7-OH products, but for a specific reason. They say it doesn't relate to them. On a now-deleted TikTok account, Feel Free Tonic, Botanic Tonics wrote the following on July 30th. Botanic Tonics applauds the FDA's targeted regulatory action. We also seek to make our position clear and unequivocal following inaccurate media coverage that has confused consumers about the distinction between natural leaf kratom and synthetic concentrated. As FDA Commissioner Macquarie stated, the agency is not focused on natural kratom leaf products, which contain only trace amounts of 7-OH, in contrast to the semi-synthetic 7-OH extracts used to make new and more potent formulations. Botanic Tonic's Feel Free Classic is made solely from noble kava root and natural kratom leaf. And though the FDA's announcement wrote, alkaloid known as 7-OH is not a lawful dietary supplement, food additive, or ingredient in any approved drug, it did specify, while 7-OH occurs naturally in trace amounts in kratom, the agency's letters focus on concentrated 7-OH products, such as tablets, gummies, drink mixes, and shots, which may be dangerous, and added that they would be sending letters to 7 targeted companies, none of which were Botanic Tonics. But it seems the company has been doing more to cover themselves in the wake of it all. When you enter their website, you're greeted with a question, "Are you 21 and over?" After clicking yes, you are flooded with a series of photos and information attempting to educate the reader on the FDA's synthetic drug crackdown and how natural leaf kratom products are not affected, consumer education, and not all kratom is equal, as well as a paragraph informing their audience that, crucially, the FDA's recommendation applies only to products containing concentrated, unnatural levels of 7-OH, not products that contain natural leaf kratom like Feel Free Classic. Dried leaf kratom is a whole plant product harvested from the Southeast Asian tropical tree known as Mitrigyna speciosa. Kratom enjoys inherent consumer trust through centuries of safe use, commonly consumed in forms such as capsules, powders, teas, and liquid suspensions. 7-OH products bear absolutely no resemblance to the natural leaf kratom products that are used by more than 23 million Americans. But what about the opioid receptors in many consumers' brains and the real-life evidence that shows Feel Frees are negatively affecting them? There are even a number of active Reddit threads linked to people who have been negatively affected by the tonic, and one specifically that is called Quitting Feel Free, where Redditors share their stories and seek the guidance of others who have had similar experiences. One Redditor wrote that they were waking up to 43 days clean of all kava and kratom products. I'm starting to finally get my appetite back. I can finally eat a meal without gagging. I'm feeling a lot better mentally and physically. It's essential for me to stay connected to others and be honest about my head noise. Another wrote that they were on day 4 as an outpatient and made it through the night a little better, feeling like I made it through the worst of my symptoms. Still feeling fatigue and a huge amount of anxiety and fear to be walking into a rehab clinic. Gonna just keep it going and try to focus on today. And another wrote, I actually started crying, going to keep trying tomorrow, going to tell my family today, might even tell my boss. He is cool and I think he would understand. At least I got 4 days this time. I try to quit every week and recently I only get 2 days clean. So at least it's progress. Tomorrow is day one again. But with these clear examples of an existing issue and all the cases taking to social media and shedding light on the potential risks associated with Feel Free, why is it still on shelves and counters today? The main reason is loopholes in supplement laws. Products like Feel Free don't need FDA approval before being sold, so long as they carry disclaimers. On top of that, its natural branding masks the risks, making it look like a safe wellness drink rather than something with addictive potential. But things may still be changing as more awareness spreads on the real-life harm resulting from the overuse of the product.
Florida just emergency banned freaking kratom.
And though this TikToker's caption included #FeelFree, the ban that was issued on August 13th does not cover Feel Frees and instead only makes the sale, possession, or distribution of concentrated or isolated 7-OH products illegal statewide by classifying them as Schedule I controlled substances. And as made clear by Botanic Tonics themselves, Feel Frees only contain whole kratom leaf and kava with natural trace amounts of 7-OH, not synthetic or concentrated extracts. For now, Feel Free still sits on store shelves, but with the mounting stories of addiction and hospital visits, consider this your warning. It's not worth the risk. Share it before someone you love finds out the hard way. If you found this video informative, consider hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel. It's the best thing you can do to help us keep making videos like this one about the dark side of reality TV and how one show ended 3 contestants' lives.